Who will be this Buffalo Sabres starting goaltender? I know it's interesting. We talked about it briefly a couple episodes ago. Or there's Devon Levi's there, but Eric Comrie's there. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's there. Could they bring someone else in? I think it's going to be kind of an interesting situation for what Buffalo does.
Yeah, I think it's actually a very fantasy relevant question because we know the Buffalo Sabres took a huge leap forward. They were knocking on the door of the playoffs. They were extremely fertile for fantasy hockey. They had such a great offense this year. And what they're missing is that goaltender to put them over the top. A lot of people believe that Devon Levi is that person. I think you and I both do as well. At the same time, as I've said before, you got to look at the Spencer Knight cautionary tale. You can't just anoint a prospect ready to be a star right away. You have to make sure there's some support for him as well. So it's going to be a defining move of the offseason here for Levi's future, for his fantasy value, what Buffalo does. Do you go with a tandem of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Devon Levi, or is that too inexperienced? I could see Buffalo wanting to bring in a veteran to sort of form an apprenticeship with Levi as your 1B and see if he can win the job. And I know there's been some people clamoring for a Connor Hellebuyck to Buffalo trade, but if you do that, then it skews almost so far that Hellebuyck is such a workhorse. He's going to want to play 65 games, and you won't get much action at all for Levi. So I'm wondering if there's like kind of a happy medium, a different like lower level veteran maybe they could bring in. But it's a situation that has to be watched very carefully because if Levi is the unquestioned starter going into next season, then he becomes a huge breakout candidate in fantasy.
I think he won't be the starter after the first month, and that's not a bad thing. I think it's just we've seen it a lot of times before, and including with Spencer Knight. He had a pretty solid end of the season. He was helping Canada win the World Championship. He got a couple games with the Sabres. He obviously had a great college season, so we know how good that Devon Levi can be. But he was kind of just riding the wave of the momentum. Like nothing could go wrong for him. He was doing so much in such a short span. Now he's got this long break, and then he's got his first NHL training camp, and it's a grueling start to a season he has not had to deal with at any kind of level to this extent. So I do expect that maybe it might be a bit of a slow start, and maybe again, it's tough to know what they're going to do with the team this summer because they do have already 3 NHL caliber goalies at minimum. Like Malcolm Subban was very good in the AHL this year. Not that I think that really goes into anything here, but you got to look at what you're going to be able to do with Luukkonen. You still have Comrie for a deal here, so you got to figure this out. And bringing a new contract up or a new player obviously messes that all up. But if the Sabres are serious about winning, you got to go and get someone. At the same time, I'm looking at this and saying, maybe you still ride these young guys because next year's not going to be your year. You're still trying to build into that future and give your full opportunities to your young guys to go out there, make mistakes and learn from them and get better and push each other. And maybe that's what you do. My guess, though, is just Devon Levi's lack of pro experience won't help him at the start, but he'll figure it out. He'll come to him maybe 2 months of the season, 3 months of the season. That's when he starts to really shine. So that's my projection there.
Yeah, I think if you know what I do, if I'm Kevin Adams, if I had just control of the team, I think I trade UPL and then I sign like Frederick Anderson or Antti Ranta, someone like that, who's like not a total threat to completely take the job and block Levi, but someone who's like a steady hand and can be the veteran, something like that.